If they do that, the Cougars will be very, 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 very tough to beat.
Off the window, no. Roberts tried to get it. Shed for the win. Got it.
Just with 14 points, but you just look, the way that he dominated the game was in controlling the pace and making smart decision after decision.
Coleman by Slamma down.
Go to pizza spot before or after.
The dream is alive for Houston. Go Cougs! Let's go!
Welcome in on this Saturday afternoon, January 18th, 1:32 Central Time. We're coming off the heels of a crazy game between the 10th-ranked Houston Cougars men's basketball team and the fake Space U, we can say now, after the outcome of the game. I don't make the rules. The UCF Knights, in which the Cougars got themselves in a hole, were able to dig themselves out of the way, and that second half was a dogfight the rest of the way, and Houston came out on top 69-68. We said this after the game against West Virginia, but the net rankings are fluid, so now this is the official first Q1 win of the season for Houston.
For now.
As of now. For now, right? We don't know if it'll update, but joining me as always, Kris Gardner of the Houston Wine Bar Review. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Andy. And let me explain by what I mean when I say for now. UCF's net ranking coming into this game was 73. So for Houston on the road, that counts as a quad one win. But the net rankings change every day. So there's a chance UCF may fall out of top 75 tomorrow on Sunday, and then it won't be a quad one win. That happened to the Cougs and the win with West Virginia. West Virginia went from a 30 in the net to a 32. So it went from Q1 to Q2. But it's a win. It's, 11 in a row? I forget. I'm losing count now. What is it? And how many is it? 10 in a row, 11 in a row for the Cougs?
10 in a row, I believe. They had won 9. They were 4-3 at one point. So now they've won 11 in a row. 10 in a row.
But prior to the last 2 minutes of the game, Javier Francis was the Cougs' best player today.
Yes.
He was their best player. He kept them alive in the first half when the guards struggled to make shots. And his stat line, 1 point game, every point counts. Jay was a perfect 6 for 6 from the free throw line, Andy.
Which is huge.
Audience, viewers. He scored 16 points, had 10 rebounds, 5 for 6 from the floor, 6 for 6 from the free throw line. He was huge today. And then the old man, Mr. Roberts, with the game winner, turned out to be the game winner. And then the bucket previous to that did what he does, came through. And I want to say this because LJ Crichton, he didn't have it today. His shot was off, had a lot of good looks. Just didn't fall. When LJ had the curl, I'm thinking to myself, why did you go to Juwan? He was rolling, coach. I didn't want anybody else shooting the ball, getting the ball, other than Juwan Roberts. And then the next possession, that's when he put him ahead once, and they had to do it again for the game winner. But Cougs in the paint, points in the paint, dominant. 48-26, old school, big boy basketball. I like it like that.
See, we got a lot of questions answered in this game. To reiterate your point, Kris, Javier Francis, hell of a game, 14 points, which is his season high this season. The 16 points, I should say, 16 points, 10 rebounds. I believe he had 14 of those 16 in the first half, if I'm not mistaken, or he was really close. And like you said, I mean, he was just giving you effort out there. It seemed like every time a ball came into the vicinity, he was scooping up the rebound. He was beating the very crucial
turnover on an inbounds from UCF,
and he gave him the possession too. He was just all over the place. And when Houston needed a basket down the stretch, they went to the Grizzlies vet in Juwan Roberts, the now all-time winningest player in Houston Cougars history, and that was a tough shot. He grabbed the ball, spin, got a low post over 2 players, contested, and I've never seen an ending like that followed. We had UCF throwing it off the, what do we call that? The Jumbotron in the arena, and then Houston got the ball. It looked like, oh, there's a second left. They got this. Then they call an offensive foul on Juwan Roberts. And then UCF ends up giving it right back to Houston, and they don't even get a chance at a Hail Mary. And the Cougars come out on top victorious again, 69-68. This win, very impressive in terms of the resilience that the Cougars showed, because they fell behind double digits in the first half. Like you said, an uncharacteristic bad shooting night from the Cougars, especially from 3-point line, only 3 for 16 from behind the arc. Milo Zuzan went 0 for 2. Emmanuel Sharp was only 1 for 6. LJ Cryer just 2 for 7. But hats off to Juwan Roberts and Javier Francis, because they really helped carry and lift Houston to this victory. And at the end of the day, we talked about it during Wednesday's post-game show, right? All road games are street fights. The only thing that matters is that they found a way to win, and give credit to, again, just the late game execution by Houston. They never panicked. They never wavered. Right. UCF helped them, right? They were a benefactor of a lot of missed free throws from UCF. But at the end of the day, the Houston Cougars took advantage of that. And again, most important thing, they found a way to win. And UCF, they had it going. There was multiple shots that they hit that Houston played good defense. So those were just tough shots that the Knights were making. And it went the Cougars' way.
Yep. And now let's have put on our analyst hat for a few things. Keyshawn Hall for UCF, coming off a 40-point game against Arizona State. Didn't have it today. He was 1 for 11. 2 for 6 from the free throw line. He's an 80% free throw shooter. But his second basket put UCF ahead by 1. 68-67. So he had an off day. As Coach Sampson tells all of us, these guys are human. They don't miss shots on purpose. So LJ, like I said, LJ, Emmanuel, Los, 95% of the shots they took were good shots. I'd have a problem with them. They just didn't go in today. But they went in for Javier Francis. Okay. But Emmanuel Sharp, closing seconds, when UCF trapped, Cougs inbounded the ball. Emmanuel Sharp had the ball nearing half court. One of the best free throw shooters in the country. Passed Terrence Arsenault. I'm thinking to myself,
you want Emmanuel to hold on to that ball.
Yes, make them foul you. You're the better free throw shooter. And hell, did Terrence, was he in the game in the second half prior to that? If he was, it was
not
very
much.
little. Yeah.
Yep, not much. Terrence Arsenault, didn't even record the full minute in the second half. It shows here on the stat broadcast. He only played 0 minutes in the first half. So he only played, or in the second half, he only played seconds in the second half.
And he missed the free throw, the front end of the 1-and-1. And I'm like, see, I want them to foul you, man, not Terrence. And it's not, Terrence is a 70% free throw shooter. That's not bad, but it's not 85, 90% like Emmanuel. So that was an issue for me. Man, you sure you want to join us like this from the wedding, man?
It hasn't started yet. We haven't even left the house yet.
But man, when E passed to Terrence, I'm like, oh, that's gonna bite the Cougs in the behind. But overall, the front court carried the Cougs today. Back court didn't have it. Hey, that happens, But UCF played well, but the Cougs did enough to win, and that's what matters.
Houston Cougars, Germany, is really excited about this victory. So Dr. Roberts, what an ending, makes us stronger. And that's the big thing. The Houston Cougars needed to have a win late game. They required them to execute well down the stretch. And again, Joe Mendes' comment, toughest team wins. The only thing that matters about this, especially when you think back to the 3 early non-conference losses, they really follow a similar script to this one. Back and forth affair. The opposing team got hot. They had multiple players that were hitting big-time shots that we don't know if a lot of those shots are going to go in for the rest of the season for these opponents.
Right.
And it didn't matter. Houston stuck to their guns. They didn't panic, and they found a way to win. And that's, at the end of the day, that's what matters, to stay 6-0 in Big 12 conference play. And another road win in conference.
This, for being on the road, the circumstances, the situation, to date, I think this is their best win of the season. They found a way to win. They did not play their A game. They won with inside scoring when they're really, I mean, the Cougs are coming into this game were the second best 3-point shooting team in the country in college basketball.
Mm-hmm. First in the Big 12.
First in the Big 12, only made 3 today, so that's got to be a season low. And yet they still found a way to win. Even though down the stretch, they got into foul issues, because there was a time in the second half, they were on 3 fouls. And then they had 3 fouls, 1 possession. And I was like, oh, no. Oh, no. So even that, Juwan Roberts came through down the stretch. Go ahead. Great play call by Coach Sampson.
Juwan Roberts was big time, man.
Great play call by Coach Sampson. He brought everybody up high, UCF up high, and had really, the double team was late. Inbound pass to Juwan. He spun, banked it in. And then, as Andy said, that last second was weird, man. Inbound pass, hit the Jumbotron. Offensive foul, call on Roberts. And then JoJo had to tip the inbound pass. But, hey, it's a win. That's all that matters. It was a win.
He did a good job of going right first and then getting back to his left hand. That was a big-time play. He stepped up so big since conference play. Like Miles said in his comment, he's been first team all Big 12. He might be the Big 12 player of the year so far. The way he's playing, depending on where Houston finishes, he's been dominant. That was a big-time play.
And I want to say this.
JV, yeah, we got.
Oh, he gave him his flowers too, brother.
In that first half.
Oh yeah,
I know you did.
Oh no, he kept the Cougs in the game. He kept the Cougs in the game in the first half. Without him, the Cougs would have just been, worse off for sure. So salute to the big men. Like I said, old school big boy basketball got the Cougs this win today. And I'm shifting gears for a moment based on projected weather forecasts, Andy, audience. And me and Andy kind of think the next game is going to be postponed because of ice. So, we may not have a Let's Rage Coogs till, next Saturday, right, Andy? I think.
Yeah, I wonder when they would postpone the game. But if they do, the next scheduled game following Utah would be at Allen Fieldhouse against Kansas, January 25. So a week from today.
Yep. But just back at it, man. Juwan Roberts came through. I got off track on my thoughts, but first half, start of the game, I was surprised that JoJo was the first option on the block, and I'm like, that's not his game yet. He's not ready for that, and he lost the ball on one, got a foul, and then got the technical foul. So that's 2 fouls on him early. He sat down the rest of the first half, but Javier Francis came through. He stepped up for JoJo, but first half, Mr. Roberts he didn't get enough touches. He got a few. Some shots rolled off. But when Emmanuel, LJ, Milos, shots wouldn't fall off of them, I wanted him to go to Juwan more in the low post. They did that in the second half.
Yeah, this game also really shows Houston's versatility, because for the past handful of games, we've talked about how important the 3 guards and Emmanuel Sharp, LJ Cryer, and Milos have been for the success of the Houston Cougars offense. And we've touched on it, right? Ever since conference play began, Juwan Roberts has stepped up this play. He's been phenomenal down the stretch. But in this game, when really neither of those 3 guards were really having, they didn't have it going, especially in the first half. They were all struggling. And it was the big men. It was Javier Francis. And then in the second half, it was Juwan Roberts that really helped pull Houston into the promised land with the victory against the Knights in Orlando. And I just find it it's encouraging because, again, we touched on it, that this Houston Cougars team It's its biggest strength, and sometimes it could be its biggest weakness, right? There's not necessarily one clear cut, like this is our go-to scorer late down the stretch. In this game, it was Juwan Roberts because of how he caught fire in the second half, and he came up big for the victory. But it just makes it, again, that much harder for any team to try to really be able to shut down Houston. If coming into the game, if anybody would have told us, hey, listen, UCF is going to hold Houston to just 3 for 16 shooting from behind the 3-point line. LJ only have 6 points on 2 for 13 shooting. Milos only have 8 points on 4 of 11 shooting. You'd be like, oh, well, man, UCF might probably come away with the victory. And that wasn't the case. They found a way, again, and I'm going to sound like a broken record repeating that, but they found a way to win. And that's the encouraging part, because it's going to be really hard to stop every single weapon. And Javier Francis, we were texting about it during the game. He came out of nowhere, and he had a really, really solid performance. But I highly doubt in their preparation for this game, UCF's like, well, Javier Francis, he's got an opportunity to get his first double on the season on us and put up 16 points offensively and look dominant doing so in the first half. Again, it just reiterates the points how many weapons this Houston Cougars team has, and that is something that most definitely has got to be it's promising for this Cougars team. And the other thing that really is underrated and really helped Houston to victory is this team's ability to just take care of the ball. They only had 3 second-half turnovers, which if you play defense, which you know that Houston is, they take care of the ball, you're going to win more often than not. And you rebound. That's the holy trinity for Houston: defense, rebounding, and taking care of the ball.
And it's a Cougar win. It's a culture win, really, because the guards didn't have it today, and the bigs stepped up. And I had hoped that the game announcer would have mentioned it a few times, not beat it into the ground. But UCF has faced the Cougs before in the American. So Coach Dawkins and the players, I mean, Darius Johnson seems to be, he's as old as Juwan Roberts. I swear Darius has been at UCF since I was a UH. I mean, it seems that long. But he knows the Cougs. He knows their style of play. So it's not like Arizona State and Houston, something like that. UCF is used to this. They're used to the physicality. So they didn't say that. And one of the announcers, hell, he played at UCF, so he should know. About the connection.
We're talking about, we expect this from UCF, ain't they?
Yeah. We expected it to be a tight contest. I think I said that I didn't see any way this game would be more than 15. Hell, I didn't expect it to be double-digit victory at all. It came down to the wire, and the Cougs found a way to win. Yeah, there are bits and pieces we can quibble about here and there, but overall, that's overall. Did you like the shot? Because I did. Did you like the shots that the guards got today and they just missed?
I did. I like the shots they got. They just missed them, like you said. But watching that game, it was so many opportunities for Milos just to be a little bit aggressive, getting inside the paint. He made some good plays. You're like, oh, there it is. But it was more opportunities for him to make some of those plays. But I like the shots the guards did. They just missed. They made timely shots, though. I will say that. They did make some timely shots, for sure.
E-Man hit some timely shots. To Dayon's point about Milos and still being a little bit too passive, there was an instance in the first half, and even the commentators brought it up, where Milos attacked. He got all the way to the rim, and he had a layup, and he passed it out last minute to Javier Francis. Now, granted, Francis caught it and was able to go up and score the basket himself, but that got made much more difficult than it had to be if Milos is just aggressively looking to score.
And bring up the crab cheese comment, because I'm going to flip it around. Houston struggled with Mustafa Theon.
That freshman looked like a pro.
Yeah, he's legit. But I'll flip it around and say UCF struggled at times with Javier Francis. And then Mustafa struggled with Juwan Roberts in the second half down the stretch. Young fella looked like a freshman against a vet on the block. He had no answer for Juwan either. So give and take his basketball. You got to give credit to your opponent as well. Give credit to the Cougs for, it's a cliche. We're going to say it a few more times in today's show, for finding a way to win. That's all that matters. They found a way. It wasn't pretty. It's not the Cougs' best game. Who the hell cares? It's a dub. That's all that matters. This is a W. Come tournament time, all of us will not care if the Cougs play a similar game like this. The guards struggle to make shots, and the Cougs win by 1, and that game is the last game of the season because it's for the chip. We're not going to care, man. This wasn't a pretty game. They struggle with so-and-so. They struggle with this. They struggle. So what? They won the game, man. And they found a way to win. Culture.
Yes, sir. And let's put a pause on it for a second. I'd like to thank, first and foremost, each and every single person that's taking the time out of their Saturday afternoon to join us on today's edition of Let's Rage Coogs. We have a lot of people in the comment sections, both on YouTube and whatever platform you may be joining us. We have a handful of viewers on X as well. Be sure to join the conversation. A big shout out to Houston Cougars Germany again for his super sticker comment on YouTube. And of course, we also like to say thank you to today's sponsors, beginning with Steve Saxenian. This is Let's Rage Coogs, presented by the Saxenian Family. So a big thank you to Mr. Steve Saxenian for being a primary sponsor of not only today's episode of Let's Rage Coogs, but all season long, going back to the football season. He will continue to do so throughout the entirety of the regular season for the Houston Cougars men's basketball team. And of course, we also like to say thank you to today's secondary sponsor, and that is Star Pizza, with 3 locations throughout the Houston area. Star Pizza is your go-to stop before or after the game. Be sure to visit them online at starpizza.net and on the social media platforms at Star Pizza HOU on X and Star Pizza Houston, Texas on the Instagram platform. Jumping into this game, when you look at the shooting numbers for UCF, Crabtree mentioned DM. He had a phenomenal game offensively, 18 points, 7 of 10 shooting from the field. He was really giving Houston headaches, and he even knocked down a 3-pointer. When he hit that, I thought, I was like, oh, it might be one of those games where there's just somebody that goes off for the opposition. And so a lot of times when teams beat Houston, they need to have an X factor. They need to have someone that steps up. He was definitely poised to be that for the Knights in this game. They just weren't able to pull away with the victory. Kris, you touched on the phenomenal defense that they did on Hall. Only 2 for 12 shooting from the field, and it's crazy how much of an impact Houston's defense can have on the opposing team's best players. Yep. Because very rarely does the opposing team's best player come into the game and have a strong performance. And this is just another showcasing of how Houston is able to really scheme, plan, and the players execute the defensive game plan on the opposing team's very best players. Before the broadcast, or before the game began, the player spotlight was on him, what he had been able to do in the Arizona road trip. And here, Houston's able to lock them down. And again, the mental impact, the mental toll that it has on players, where he missed, uncharacteristically missed key free throws down the stretch, that maybe ends up helping UCF pull in front if he does. Like, he was an 80% free throw shooter, above 80% free throw shooter entering the game, and he missed 4 in this outing, which he might not miss 4 the rest of the season.
And prior to his go-ahead layup, he was a negative for the Knights today, because he was 1 for 11 from the floor. He had 5 turnovers, missed 4 free throws, but his go-ahead bucket, I'm going to say it, I'm not picking on him, but I'm going to say it, was against Terrence Arsenault. He's bigger and stronger than Terrence, so he just attacked Terrence. It's different than attacking Mr. Roberts. But he scored. But other than that, he'd probably tell you, he wished, he expected he could have played. He wished he could have played better. He didn't today. Cougs did enough. And think about it. I don't know what Javier Francis' free throw numbers percentage was coming into today, but I'm sure it wasn't 80%. So an 80% free throw shooter, UCF, missed 4 free throws. A non-80% free throw shooter made all 6 of his free throws in a 1-point victory for Houston.
Let me try to pull those numbers. Coming into the game,
Hey, did y'all
Xavier
mention the
Francis.
impact Malik had off the bench yet? Y'all mentioned that because he did have a good stint off the bench that really sparked Houston in at an important time on the game. I was
Yeah,
really
key rebounds. He had a nice fadeaway jumper
impressed
too.
when he came off the bench.
Yeah, it's different guys stepping up, and that's what good teams do. If player X doesn't have it going, player Y can step up. But the interesting thing about the net, UCF already has 3 Q1 wins. The Cougs still don't have one if UCF falls out of the range in tomorrow's net rankings. But right now, the Cougs will have one, have their first. But the Cougs are 6-0 and UCF isn't. It's just how things work. But let's touch on this a little bit. Because Andy, I thought about what you said in the text about Javier should be get his starting spot back. I like how it is right now.
I've been saying that all year, except yeah, you're right about that. Go ahead. Sorry, Chris.
No, because I like how it's working right now. So
right. It's hard to say because JoJo is so impactful, so I understand the move, but Javier, and I agree. It's like Javier, he can be an all conference player in the Big 12 if he was a starter. The way he's been playing, but it's like I understand the impact that JoJo has, but I don't know. I definitely agree Javier should be a starter. Is deserving to be a starter. Not to question Coach Sampson because we like how it's going, but he deserving to be.
And I mean, every role is different, right? I mean, for games like this where he can be a spark off the bench when Houston's starters maybe are a little stagnant, that's definitely a positive from him coming off the bench. But I think the biggest takeaway is that slowly but surely it seems like Javier Francis is finally getting his feet under him, and obviously Kelvin Sampson has mentioned it numerous times over the course of the season about how many days he missed in October and even into November before the season even began, and he's kind of been fighting an uphill battle since that point with the injury that he suffered. So it's good to see now really solid performances from Javier Francis beginning to become much more frequent for Houston. And then, Kris, to answer your question about the free throw percentage from Francis heading into this game, it was 61%, 61.5%. I think that includes even this UCF game. So, yep, you're exactly right. Definitely nowhere near 80%. Although, give credit to Javier Francis because whole season
sure.
you can tell he's worked on his free throws. It definitely has been much more crisper than it has been in years past. And in this game, he came up big time. A game where Houston only wins by 1. To go 6 for 6 from the free throw line is phenomenal.
And most of the 6 free throws he made were because of touch. They hit the rim, rolled in softly. There was a time he didn't have touch on his free throws at all. I mean, all of us are like, yeah, these aren't going to go in. I mean, but so he's improving there. It's just another tool in the box for Coach Sampson to use. Now, of course, as we say for everybody, they have to be consistent. We don't expect Javier to get 16 and 10 in 25 minutes every game, but he could probably get 8 or 9 points and 6 or 7 rebounds every game and get a block here and there. That's something he could do. The Cougars won the bench battle 23-9 in a 1-point game. So that means the starters were outscored, but they still got the dub. And that's the bottom line. We harp on it. We just sound like, oh, you guys are just repeating the same old thing. But they won. And that's all that matters. I'm curious to hear Coach Sampson in postgame and Coach Dawkins. I'm sure Coach Dawkins, and UCF's probably like, we let one slip away. We had him and we didn't get it done. But kudos to the Cougs because they just they figured out how to win another one.
I'm scrolling through X, and Joseph Duarte of the Chronicle has a quote. It seems like he got it from an account called UCF Sports, but this is from Kelvin Sampson on the final sequence. And Kelvin Sampson, according to Duarte, said we worked on those late game situations so many times. The thing I tell our kids, we may need it, we may not, but when the time comes, we're going to be prepared. And boy, were they prepared with late game execution in this game. They never looked like the moment was too big in this game. And considering, again, the late game struggles that they had and their 3 losses in November, it's good to see that growth from a Cougars team where we know that for the remainder of Big 12 conference play, I'm sure this is not going to be the last time that Houston finds itself in this situation. But most definitely by the time March rolls around, they're going to have to win one, if not likely multiple of these types of games to be able to go to that goal that they have in mind and to get to 6 wins in March and April.
They're going to have to just win ugly. They're going to have to win games when they don't have their A game. And
yep.
I'll take that.
And when their shot is not falling, when the jumper's not falling, being able to manufacture points like they did today, I mean, that was big. That was big. This is a great win. We've been talking about how they've been shooting and when the shots aren't falling, how they manufacture the win. They was able to do that on the road. I was very, very impressed with this win, man.
And that's a great word. Impressed. This was impressive because the big men won the game for them. Usually this is a guard-oriented, guard-dominated team for the most part. But if you can count on, if you know you're going to get really balanced scoring from your inside and outside, going on Andy's point earlier in the show, who do opponents key on? You know, you expect Emmanuel to get his, LD to get his, but in the final seconds, what's the opponent going to do? Well, they're probably going to go to Roberts in the post. Well, what if they have an advantage in the guards and they're going to go to the guard, in the perimeter? I think Coach Sampson will go. He will attack the mismatch, wherever it is. And at Dayon's point, he likes to say, he said many times, is Coach Sampson lets the game dictate to him. So whoever has a hot hand, that's going to get the ball. And it was Mr. Roberts down the stretch, and that's what he went with, the old man.
Trying to find more comments from it. Here's Kelvin Sampson on Javier Francis, again courtesy of Joseph Duarte via an account on that covers UCF at UCF Sports. Kelvin on Javier, that guy that saved us, the guy that saved us tonight, make no question about it, was Javier Francis. He played like a senior. He was awesome. On a night we needed him the most, he stepped up and played his butt off. So Kelvin Sampson himself, high praise for Francis. And this is Juwan Roberts on his game winner. I've been on some great teams. This culture is based on winning close games, winning big games. I've been in this moment before. It's just trust that my teammates have in me, just knowing that I'm going to make the right play when the time comes. Of course, we know that he made the right play in that stretch, not only with the big basket, but just overall execution late game throughout the entire second half specifically. So good game, again, for growth for Houston. And really, this might be an underrated game for just confidence. Now Houston they can get a monkey off their back, right? Like, okay, late game struggles, we executed. Now we can build off of it. And when they find themselves in the situation again, it's just go out there, go execute like we did against UCF and go from there.
You know, I think Coach Sampson said it recently in a media session, how the early losses, the execution, the team has learned from the problems they had in November, and you can see them. Today was a great example of how they executed in the closing seconds to win. So, you know, what is it? Lessons in losses. They're not losses. You learn lessons in those games as well. This is part of it, and you can see the fruit of that, learning the half-court execution, those final seconds execution. I mean, that was a great play call. Coach drew up whoever it was, if it's Coach Sampson, Coach Kellen, Coach Q, whoever, great play design. And then the player, Juwan Roberts, executed with a tough bucket, but it was a game winner. And we're talking about the Cougs being 6-0.
Real quickly, once again, we'd like to say thank you to today's sponsors on this edition of Let's Rage Coogs, beginning with Steve Saxenian. Again, this is Let's Rage Coogs presented by the Saxenian Family. Of course, we also like to say thank you to today's secondary sponsor, and that is Star Pizza with 3 locations throughout the Houston area. Star Pizza is your go-to stop before or after the game. Be sure to check them out online at starpizza.net. And also check them out on social media on X at StarPizzaHOU and on Instagram at Star Pizza Houston, Texas. They have numerous deals and specials that they are constantly promoting. Be sure to check them out on Tuesdays and Fridays during lunchtime as well for their all-you-can-eat pizza buffet, although you might not be able to check them out this Tuesday because, like Kris alluded to, projection of snow, and some of those forecast models have quite a bit amount of snow. And yeah, the last thing you want in Texas and Houston specifically is to be on the road when there's even a fraction of ice on the road. Houston drivers are built for a lot of things, but ice is not one of them. So hopefully we get more of the snow rather than ice, but we'll see what Tuesday brings. Part of the Arctic blast for Houston that could potentially postpone Houston and Utah. That is currently slated at Tuesday for 7 p.m. inside of the Fertitta Center. So we shall see what happens with that game. Once again, I want to go through the box score real quick. Again, Jawan Roberts leading scorer for Houston, 21 points, 10 for 17 from the field, finished just a rebound short of another double-double for him. Javier Francis, the second leading scorer for Houston, 16 points, 5 of 6 from the field. Like we talked about, 6 for 6 from the free throw line. 10 rebounds in this outing. Emmanuel Sharp hit some big-time baskets late down the stretch in the second half. He finished with 9 points on 4 of 11 shooting. All 9 of those points for Emmanuel Sharp actually came in the second half, which, again, he was able to turn the script a little bit and hit some big shots. Milos Uzan had 8 points, 4 11 from the field. He had 5 assists. And what's impressive about Milos, he's able to dish out the ball and take care of the ball as well. Finished with 0 turnovers. LJ Cryer, 6 points, 2 for 13 shooting. Like Dion alluded to earlier, Malik Wilson, 7 points, 3 for 6 from the field. He came in with 5 rebounds. Racked up 4 fouls, a lot of which he didn't necessarily agree with. So just top to bottom, looking at the statistics, Houston ended up having a higher field goal shooting percentage, 42% from the field over UCF. And I find this interesting. Houston actually ended up shooting more shots than UCF, which was not the case early. I think one of the things that really helped UCF in being able to build that lead is that they were, for that stretch in the first half, they were kind of beating Houston at their own game. They looked like they were swarming towards the ball. They were getting a lot of offensive rebounds. And at least early in the game, UCF had a handful of more shots than Houston, and that's what kind of was able to initially get them off into having the lead, and then they caught fire and were able to build that 12-point lead, and Houston was able to not only batten down the hatches on that one, but ended up shooting more baskets than them. When it comes to the rebounding battle for the Cougars, they ended up out rebounding UCF by a lone rebound. Houston had 42. UCF finished with 41 total. Points off turnovers, dead even, 10 apiece for both teams. Houston had the edge in second chance points at 18 second chance points compared to UCF's 15, and where Houston really came out on top, had the edge. No surprise, again, like we've touched on with Javier Francis' big game, but they had 23 bench points compared to UCF's 9, and the utter domination from both Roberts and Francis, 48 points in the paint compared to UCF's 26.
And it was early in the game, UCF, they struggled to make shots. They were 1.5 for 17. But they had an 11-8 edge on the boards. So that's what kept them, offensively, because and a lot of UCF, Darius Johnson is one of them. They have the green light. Some of their shots they take were not great shots. Okay, they were heat check shots in the first half for guys who hadn't even heated up yet.
Well, for some of the players, they were falling.
But then some of them went in. So it looks better when you make a heat check shot, but when you start keep taking those shots and then start missing them and don't get the rebounds, and then the Cougs started scoring, or Javier Francis said, okay, well, y'all didn't score, you're in. I'm going to keep my team in it by scoring in the paint. That kept the Cougs closer in the game, and then the Cougs sandwiched an 11-0 run to cut it to 1 after being down at halftime. So, Milo Suzanne, Los was important. Those first 4 points he scored in the second half, he attacked the basket. That's what we want to see more of. Him attacking the basket, him being aggressive. And then he kicked it to Emmanuel Sharp for the three-pointer. I think that was Emmanuel's only three-point basket right there of the game for a 7-0 run to start the second half. UCF called timeout. But UCF, they answered the challenge. They answered the Cougs runs a lot, even when the Cougs went up 5. I said to myself, let's see what UCF does if the Cougs can go up 2 possessions. Well, UCF answered that challenge. And so, but Mr. Roberts said, the Cougs are going to win today, and I'm going to take care of it. And he got it done with that basket with 1 second left on the clock.
Yeah, Crabtree's point on YouTube, really hostile environment. The refs last 2 games have not been as good. I think for the most part, the referees in this game, they were very consistent. There's a lot of ticky-tack fouls in this game, especially toward the stretch. There was a lot of stoppage in play in terms of the.
This is a long game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and the second half was really long. I was glad that the refs reviewed and reversed the out of bounds call.
That was a phenomenal play by Emmanuel
Sharp. That was great hustle. That was great hustle by Emmanuel Sharp, because initially live, I thought his foot had touched the end line, and that's why I think the ref did too. But on the replay, you could see clearly he was inbounds when he leaped up and got the ball while still in the air and tossed it off a UCF player. So good thing, because previous years that play would not have been reviewed and definitely would not have been reversed. So who knows what would happen, years ago. But today, the ref got that one right. We can quibble on a few things here and there. The Roberts, who was a UCF player who's kind of sold it. Dwan made contact. Offensive foul. Fortunately, it was not a player
on the offensive foul.
Because that would have been free throws. But I was like, he made contact, but he wasn't even trying to set a screen. I mean, he was just, the guy ran into him.
He just stuck his butt out.
Yeah, so.
It was Delon. No, he's the one that had the turnover, the offensive foul. Let's see, I'm trying to find it. It doesn't. Wow, it's interesting. It doesn't have it on the play-by-play. It just says offensive turnover by Jawan Roberts.
Yeah, I don't think for offensive fouls, I don't think it'll involve the other player. So yeah, for play-by-play. Now,
but again, UCF didn't capitalize on it.
Yeah,
it was weird how it turned out. I guess the announcer said it got tipped, but it ended up straight in the hands of Milo Zuzan, and that was game. They didn't even get a chance.
Yeah, JoJo tipped it. He tipped it. So yeah, so the game was over after that tip, and it's good to see either JoJo or Javier defending the inbounds passes, because both of those guys have long arms and make it really difficult, and they jump up as well to make it really difficult for the inbounder to see and make a good pass. And hell, first one hit the jumbo, first attempt hit the bottom of the jumbotron. Second one was hit by JoJo. Cougs win. That's what matters, Andy.
Yes, sir. Kansas
held on to beat Kansas State by 10 in the first battle of the Sunflower Showdown, 84-74. Kansas State, boy, they got to do something come Big 12 tournament. And speaking of Big 12 tournament, Mr. Yanez.
Oh, that's the perfect time.
There we go. Have you heard anything? Or how are we looking?
I have not heard anything new since our show on Wednesday. So it's a great opportunity that, like Kris mentions, if you are interested in becoming a sponsor or partner here on Let's Rage Coogs, there's a variety of different options that we could do. Like Kris mentioned during Wednesday's show, the primary sponsorship for Let's Rage Coogs is currently set to expire after the final regular season game of the season for Houston. So come Big 12 tournament time, then of course the NCAA tournament time, which Kris, we can speak from personal experience now that this is the crazy to believe, but this is now the 4th season of Let's Rage Coogs, correct? Yep. Because we began Let's Rage Coogs during the American Athletic Conference tournament when it was Kyler Edwards, Tajay Moore, and and those guys. So that's crazy to believe now for
Right.
season when we
Yep.
have those postseason tournament shows, right? When viewership goes up and there are just more eyeballs on the program of the University of Houston as a whole, that's the opportunity to have your either name or whatever company or brand you like to push out there here on the edition of Let's Rage Coogs. And if you are interested in being a primary sponsor, or shoot, maybe you're just interested in a banner, like kind of like Star Pizza. Maybe you guys have a video commercial that we can just plug and play throughout the show. Feel free to do so by reaching out at letsragecoogs@gmail.com. Kris, another underrated aspect of advertising or partnering or sponsoring on Let's Rage Coogs is that this is for as long as YouTube, Twitter, whatever platform you want to use is still out and about. Like, it's not going to go anywhere. Like,
Right.
it will live there for however long YouTube is a thing, which seems like it's going to be here to stay for a while. So it is really advertising with no expiration date because it lives on the internet. So just if you are interested in sponsoring here on Let's Rage Coogs, reach out to the email you see on the screen. Once again, if you're listening to our audio only platforms, that is letsragecoogs@gmail.com. Kris, I'll toss it over to you if you have any other thing you'd like to plug when it comes to sponsorship.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I do. With Andy and I kind of do the reels and the YouTube shorts. So that's another way for advertisers to reach an audience. If you want to sponsor a YouTube short or a reel that is posted on Instagram, or if it's still around in a day or two, TikTok or Facebook or Threads, whatever, you can, Andy could be from Kansas City, from the hotel or whatever, and say, "Hey, we this is Andy Yanez from Big 12 tournament. Thank
ABC
Joe's
Company.
ABC company. So enjoy this interview I did with so and so, or whatever, or something like that. A little quick hitter. That's a 21st century, 2025 way of advertising and reaching an audience, and not just in a show or in our podcast shows. But of course, Let's Rage Coogs is the original post-game show for Houston football and men's basketball. Got a great audience, a growing audience. Thank you very much, everybody, for chiming in this Saturday afternoon. But Andy is the man with the ideas and the plan, the youngster, the brains of the everything here, Let's Rage Coogs. And I'm sure he may have even more ideas to get your company name out there, your brand out there as part of promoting during the Big 12 tournament and the NCAA tournament, because we know the Cougs are going to be in the NCAA tournament. Just a question of seeding and a question of where. So that the where is an issue, in that it comes into the expenses. The further away it is, the more it's going to cost us and the sponsors. So that kind of support we're looking for. So if you are a wealthy alum, a connected alum, an alum who says, I love what you guys are doing. I love how y'all support our Cougs and talk about our program. And I'm going to help foot the bill for y'all to fly to, Denver, Pittsburgh, wherever. Just let me know how much it costs. I'll take care of it. If you are that angel in the sky for us, email letsragecoogs@gmail.com and help us, and we'll work with you. And it's all about Cougs helping Cougs as we watch and cover this team as only we can, because we do things a little differently than our colleagues and associates do on their platforms. It's just different. Doesn't make it better. It's just different. So help us, help you. And we appreciate it. Always fun talking to Cougs, and it's even more fun to talk Cougs after a win, and especially a thrilling win like this one. Coug 69, UCF 68. Cougs improved to 6-0 in the Big 12. And as we wrap it up, right, Andy?
Yes, sir.
Okay, as we wrap it up, I am KG Kris Gardner of the Houston Roundball Review. Thank you, as always, to the Saxenian family. Thank you to Star Pizza. Thank you to all of the viewers for their questions, comments. Spread the word about the Houston Roundball Review. Spread the word about Pause Slam Jamma. Spread the word about.
Stop by Star Pizza. Say you listen to them on Let's
Indeed.
Rage Coogs.
Yes. please do that as well. Great pizza, all kinds of pizzas, different varieties.
And dessert.
Thank you to dessert pizzas. Excellent. Thank you to Houston Cougars Germany for the super sticker as well. Cougs are global, man. Cougs are global. It's always, I always say this. Some people kind of forget it, but it's always a great day to be a Coug. Since 1994, the Houston Round Ball Review, local name, global perspective. And since our brother is headed to a wedding in Seattle, I'll wrap it up for him.
Before you do, Kris.
Oh, go ahead.
So, yeah, just for your YouTube channel, right? Texans Chiefs divisional round game.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Will there be a post-game show after?
Yes. My colleague, A.D. Moore, is in Kansas City. He should be there now. Flight should have landed. He posted on Twitter a picture from the plane. So he should be there, and he will be there watching the Texans battle the Chiefs in the divisional round and have his post-game wrap-up from the Ad Max Corner on the Houston Round Ball Review YouTube channel. And then later on tonight, I'll have my next Rockets post-game show discussing the Rockets, what should be a win over the Portland Trailblazers. All of that on the Houston Round Ball Review YouTube channel.
Yes, sir. And now you can.
All right, now I'll do it for our brother Dayon Dunlap. Salute to the happy couple. Many years of happy marriage for both of them. But as always, y'all know it, and I'm serious when I say it, it's always a great day to be a Coug. Everybody, keep it in mind. Go Cougs.